The composer Claude Debussy said that music is the space between the notes. And I think it's something all true artists and creatives understand intuitively. In visual art, it's the negative space that gives meaning to shapes. In comedy, it's the pause before the punchline. And in life, it's all those quiet moments in between the chaos that let you think. Without that pause or that space, you don't have music or art or much of anything meaningful at all, really. Just a wall of noise and nonsense. Now, obviously, there's nothing radical about this concept. We all know we're living in a hyper-stimulating world of mass production and overconsumption. But sometimes, we all need a reminder. Hello and welcome or welcome back. I'm Tony and this is a place where I talk about life stuff, and today marks another 10-week stint here on YouTube. Now, if there's been one overarching theme this season, it's about setting healthy boundaries, learning when to say no, walk away and take a rest. So today let's bring that all together and talk about the value of space. Not outer space, although that's cool too. More like breathing space. About 20 years ago, I went down the Eastern philosophy rabbit hole, and those guys really had a handle on the value of space. The Japanese call it ma, this concept that emptiness, silence, and the space between things isn't just some meaningless void, but something valuable, something that makes everything else possible. Then there's the ancient Chinese philosophy of Taoism, and I'll not give you the whole TED talk on that. You can go check out some Alan Watts if you're interested. But it's another tradition that sees the value of space. The true value of a cup, for example, is in its emptiness. Otherwise, it's just a lump of clay. Now, all this made quite a big impact on me in my 20s, especially coming from a more Western perspective, built upon doing and achieving and constantly moving forward. And I'm not knocking Western philosophies and values. There's a lot of good stuff in that too. But this idea that stillness could be productive and that emptiness could be useful, well, that was pretty revolutionary to me at the time. But it does take a while for these things to get fully embedded in any meaningful way, and sometimes we need to hear the same message said 1,000 different ways before it clicks. Another thing the Taoists understood was that everything moves in cycles and seasons. And in a future video, I'll probably talk a bit more about how sometimes I've struggled to function in a culture that demands the same level of energy pretty much every week of the year. And I feel incredibly lucky now that my lifestyle affords more flexibility and I can lean into those natural rhythms a little bit more. However, let's not forget, the seasons are bigger than we are, so it's not all about just doing what you feel like. As I've mentioned before, a dry day in West Island usually means catching up on all the outdoor jobs. Now, the Taoists also have this concept called Woowoo, which is the idea of following the natural flow of life rather than fighting against it. Now, that doesn't mean complete passivity or inertia, but it does mean being a bit smarter in how you use your energy, like water flowing around a rock instead of trying to smash through it. And that's essentially what I'm trying to do with these stones here. This used to be a dry stone wall, but we had a massive storm here several months ago, and when the trees were uprooted, they brought down sections of the wall. Now, due to the nature of the landscape, trying to rebuild the wall would be extremely difficult, nigh on impossible. And I doubt we could ever rebuild it to the same standard the ancestors did many decades or even centuries ago. So rather than exert lots of force and effort, I'm leaving the larger stones exactly where they are and working around them and with them rather than against them. And you might also notice I'm using tree branches to create a sort of dead hedge as a natural barrier. And it probably looks a bit weird and sparse at the moment, but the plan is to create a sort of wild rockery that I think will look really good once we've got some shrubs and plants growing in these gaps. When I started this YouTube experiment back in February, I rather foolishly thought that filming in summer would be easier. More sunshine would mean more outdoor filming, and that sounded lovely. But if you've been following along for a while, you'll know I've faced some technical difficulties. Because it turns out that sunshine doesn't cancel out wind. Who knew? Even a gentle breeze sounds like a jet engine through the mic. And don't even get me started on the harsh shadows and blinding glare. It's basically been a crash course in how not to film. But more than that, it's been a gentle reminder that I am not here to hustle. Been there, done that, got the burnout. I'm not here to crank out content for the algorithm. I'd prefer to create something a bit more thoughtful and sustainable, and that needs space. So I'm going to walk the walk this time. All things considered, now seems like a good time to take another YouTube break. Probably for a bit longer this time, maybe a month or two, while I focus on things that need more physical energy and external attention through the rest of summer. And that does include upgrading my YouTube setup, because I will be back, and hopefully with some better kit. And autumn feels like a good time for me to return to YouTube. There's something about the season turning inward that feels like a good match for the kind of conversations I want to have. And do let me know if there's anything in particular you want me to talk about. So here's what I'm wondering about your life. Is there some aspect of your life right now where it feels more like you're trying to smash through the rock instead of flowing around it? Is there something you're trying to force that might work better if you just stop pushing? And also, just because I'm curious, how do you plan to spend the rest of summer? Or winter if you're on the opposite side of the planet? Thank you very much for being here, for watching and commenting. It really does mean a lot. And although I don't have time to reply to every comment, I do read them all, and I know other people find them really interesting and helpful too. So keep them coming. Remember to hit the buttons, including the notification bell, if you want to see when my next video pops up. Meanwhile, take care, have a great summer or winter, and I'll see you when the season turns.